thank you for being here, Mr. Kinney.
Hey, thank you very much, Domenico. It's very nice to meet you virtually.
So, Mr. Kinney, there's a new Diary of a Wimpy Kid in town. It's an animation movie. What are the differences with the previous version, the previous iterations of the franchise, aside the animation version, of course?
Yeah, what's really exciting about this version is that it's really the books come to life. I think in the live action films, which I think are really fun, you have to make this leap as a viewer because you see Greg on the page and he's got these 3 sprigs of hair, and then you see Greg on the screen and he's a human being with lots of hair. And so, you know, here you don't have to make such a big leap. You say, yes, that's what Greg's world looks like in real life.
Exactly, in the press release, you say this is the true Wimpy World experience. How important was having an animation style and character designs matching more closely the ones from the book?
It was really important to get the look of the characters right. And it was difficult, actually. We went through lots of iterations where the characters didn't look right, they looked off. Everything was a little bit out of place, and we refined and refined and refined, and now we have something that I think looks very authentic to the books. I think that it's always going to be a little bit weird for people who have seen something in one style, see them in a new style, but the feedback I've gotten is that people say, yeah, that looks like I expect it to look.
What were the influences, your influences as a penciler when you start the Wimpy Kid series? Because of course I see a lot of Schultz and a lot of Peanuts in there, but yeah, there's something else.
Yeah, I think that my influences were probably Schultz because he influenced just about everybody who came after him. Mort Walker is a cartoonist in the US who uses lots of clean lines, lots of white space. Matt Groening, who did ultimately The Simpsons, but he did a series called Life is Hell. And Gary Larson, who did The Far Side. Those are the cartoonists I think probably most influenced me.
The first book upon which is based this movie came out in 2007. How strange it was for you working on it again after more than 10 years for the screenplay of this movie?
It was really a privilege to get to go back to book 1 and to rewrite it in a way. You know, I wrote Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the first book, when I started writing it when I was 28 years old. Now I'm 50. And I've learned a lot about storytelling, about the types of stories you need to tell for the screen, and I've gotten better at it. So it's great to be able to revisit your early work and kind of neaten it up. And so I think this story is actually the ultimate version of the first book.
You changed something, or you would have changed something going back in time?
Yeah, it was great to be able to tell a more refined story, you know, a more sophisticated story and a tighter story.
Do you think the changes between elementary and middle school are still relevant nowadays for the kids nowadays?
I think there's this big leap that kids go through from elementary school to middle school. I don't know what the equivalent is in Italy, but it's basically going from...
It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Okay, yeah. There's a big jump. Of course, people change physically, people change socially. There's a lot of pressure on kids who are in middle school. And it's not that easy. And that's why I set these stories in middle school, is because I wanted kids to see the humor of their situation.
The Wimpy Kid series is it's a series of books about personal growth. But Greg is a very strange main character because it's not good. He does not bad stuff, but a very grotesque stuff, you know, happen to him. It was hard to animate a character that was not so bright, the prototype of the classic main character.
I think what's really different about Greg Heffley as a character is that usually characters in kids' literature are heroic in some way. They're aspirational. And Greg's not really aspirational. He's a character who's messy. He's not fully formed as a person. And most of the comedy in the books comes from understanding that Greg's got a lot of room to grow. Now, what's always challenging as a writer is that he's a cartoon character. So he can't really change that much. A cartoon character can't really transform. But that's what allows us, the movies allow us something a little bit different, because there's got to be growth in a movie to tell a good story. So in each one of these animated movies, I think we'll have Greg learn and grow a little bit more.
So there are plans for sequels?
Yeah, we're working on Roderick Rules right now, which is the second story. And I'm really hoping that we get to make lots and lots of these stories.
You wrote and wrote more than a dozen of books in the Wimpy Kid series. What is your favorite book? And aside from Greg, what is your favorite character and the one you want to see animated in a future sequel?
Yeah. Well, my favorite book is the first one, but I really like the latest one, which is book 16, which is called Big Shot in the United States. And I think it's my best told story. My favorite character will always be Rowley, because I like that he's a good friend, he's a pure kid, he's uncorruptible in a way. And I really think I'd like to see them all made into films, honestly. I think that each one has something exciting about it, or memorable about it, and so I'm really hoping we get to make lots of these.
Thank you very much for your time, Sekin. Really
Thank you very much, Domenico. I appreciate it.